Hey, hi, we're back at Band Pro Open House, Production Hub. We're here with Pamela from Atomos. Hi, thanks so much for being here today.
What a fun event.
I know, man. It's absolutely packed, crazy, lots of people.
Alcohol.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, you brought along something here we're going to see. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what your take on the show is, about the open house?
Oh yeah, no, it's been great. I've even had people bring cameras to me, hook up the monitors so I can walk them through the menu systems and stuff like that. To be able to get that hands-on, in person is so valuable.
But so much of, things are going at such a rapid rate. For people to be able to keep up, they're very used to certain workflows. How's that changed? I mean, you do a lot of interaction with customers and students. Where do you see that difference happening?
But the difference has really happened over the last 10 years. I started in film 20 years ago when it was pretty cut and dry. You had your Panavisions and your film and check the gate. And then over the last few years where everything's digital and now there's countless of cameras to workflow and every workflow is different, it is valuable to be able to have the expertise and the knowledge to work through the students and work through these up and coming filmmakers and help them and teach them, how to use even things like waveforms and RGB files and vector scopes, stuff I didn't have when I was in film school.
Yeah, that's
tools,
true.
Yeah, tools.
So you didn't need them.
No, well,
really.
Yeah, you didn't have access to them unless you were in broadcast or really high end. And now that we have these tools in our hands in the last few years, it's film 101. It really is. And it's been great teaching people how to use waveforms, and it's almost like a matrix effects. Like once a filmmaker understands the waveform and you see that change over in their eyes.
Oh, that's
you're empowering them.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. I mean, because you've been doing this for a while. How much is the ability to be able to go shoot in RAW change the equation?
Wow. Huge.
I know that's a trick question. I knew
that's a trick question. It's almost to some filmmakers it's overboard. To other filmmakers it's empowering. It depends on the type of filmmaker you are. If you want all that information and you have the capability to store and utilize that, it's going to change your world. If you're not up to that level, don't even bother because it's too much. You need to grow into shooting RAW.
Yeah, so I guess for now, if you're just starting out, you just go ahead and do that thing.
I recommend all filmmakers to at least shoot in log, depending on the camera you're shooting on, because log is HDR and log it's RAW that's converted into whatever that particular camera you're using is reading RAW. And what log is allowing you to do is allowing you to take in more stops of dynamic range. And when you're able to do that, you're lighting properly, you're exposing differently because you're like, oh, my light really isn't blown out, my shadows really are there by shooting log.
That's a really good point. So let's talk a little bit about what we have here, the Inferno, and that bad boy. And let's talk about the kind of uses you're seeing right now.
Wow, the big thing is our flame series, including the Inferno, is 1,500 nits. And a nit is a measurement of light. So this means I can take this out into the sun, turn it into the sun, and still see my monitor. And which is great because as a filmmaker, it's almost like a rite of passage where you look at your monitors under a hoodie, a hat, a blanket, some flags.
Anything you can find.
Yeah. And to be able to see your monitor without that it's almost like, is that really? Like you're kind of almost confused about it, which is great. And this RAW, as you can see, it's got the Quad SDI. So I can capture, for those who do shoot in RAW, I can capture my cinema DNG footage. I can capture that RAW onto SSD drives that are non-proprietary, which is great because that's more information you have in post to work with.
Yeah, if you have that much time to post, because that's really changed the equation where if you were shooting native or original, then you just go to post. But now it's like, oh, it's post plus.
Yes. Well, and in addition, so let's say you are recording onto these monitors. You're recording into either a ProRes or a DNX codec, which saves you so much time in post because you don't have to transcode it. That's huge. That in time, when you're saving all that time, that's saving you money. And then there's other things like time lapse. Like as a filmmaker, we have to have time lapse in our repertoire. You know, yes, some shows do it way too much. I'm not going to name a couple of Netflix shows, no. But we have to do it. And when I can go in here and set up my intervalometer and have a time lapse in 4K ProRes or DNX Kodak to drop into my timeline, that saves you so much time. It's huge.
If you were going back 10, 15 years, where would you start now? What advice would you give yourself now?
Oh, man.
That
learning how to get my white balance and learning how to use those color checkers from the very beginning. Learning how to use the waveforms and my RGBs. Learning those before I even go out shooting. That's what I would tell any filmmaker to this day, because that will elevate you to be a better filmmaker right off the bat.
So does Atomos do that as well? Do they have a good outreach to their customer base? How do we talk to our customers?
X-Right's doing a lot of that. In the last few months, in fact the last 3 or 4 months, more education online. You can probably search it, Google it, like what is a waveform? What does my false color mean? And that education is coming out really in the last few months. And so it's a matter of you as a filmmaker taking that initiative. And I encourage that. Go on lynda.com, go on, those avenues out there and learn that, learn it, because it's just going to make you as a filmmaker better.
How about with the Inferno itself? What would you say is a normal learning curve? Like pull it out of the box and away we go. So but like to really utilize it well.
The nice thing about it is it's so user-friendly. There's not layers of menu. If you're like, oh, where was the waveform? Oh, there it is. It's the first time I picked up an Atomos product. It was before I was even working for Atomos, and my boss threw a monitor at me, and he's like, get it ready, we're shooting in 5, and and I panicked. I could tell I was like, my heart rate was beating. I was like, because you don't want to screw up. And then I picked it up and was like, oh, okay, I got this. This is easy, and that is probably the best features about this product is it is very intuitive, and it's out of the box. All you need is to make sure you have your SDI or HDMI cable that you have to buy, non-proprietary, or your SSD card, which is also non-proprietary. Those are the only 2 things you have to buy. Other than that, it's ready to go. It has everything you need.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for coming by.
Absolutely, this was fun.
Great. Enjoy the rest of the show.
More alcohol.
Oh yeah, that's way good. And then go fix somebody else's workflow issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.